We're talking this week about generosity, and I was thinking it's a bit like, there's that urban myth that there's hundreds of Inuit or Eskimo words for snow. Apparently there aren't, but there are different Latin words for love, and I know the Caritas one for love and action, and I'm pretty sure there's a few other ones, Eros and something else. And I was thinking, well, what does generosity mean? And are there different kinds, perhaps not different words for it, but different kinds of generosity in it? It struck me that there probably are. And the first one is that really obvious one. Like, we've got this family at school who have got nothing. They're refugees. And our ESOL teacher went to their house, and she said, she came away, really upset. They just don't even have blankets on their beds. And so I went to our St Vincent de Paul guy at church this morning. I said, Brendan, there's this family, they've got nothing. And he said, just give me the address, I'll go see what they need. And that's real generosity of spirit and of giving and everything. But he represents St Vincent de Paul, so I guess it's the response I was hoping for, and I got it. And that's what he stands for in our parish. Then there's a generosity that is much quieter. And it's things like, I see one of our teachers driving off with one of the girls in her car, and it's because she took her down to number one to buy her a pair of shoes because she didn't have any. Or I see another teacher driving up to school with a girl in the car, and I realise this girl's got the date wrong for her exam, and the teacher's driven round to her house and picked her up and brought her up to school for her level 3 NCEA exam. I talked to another teacher about a girl who's having some problems, and next thing I know she's gone round to her house to visit the family. And those kinds of generosity that doesn't have to happen, and no one gets paid to do any of those things, but they still do them. And coming up to Christmas, it's what you hope you see more and more of. Sorry, the cat's just taking my foot down there. But there's another kind of generosity that I think that we need to embrace coming up to Christmas time. Our parish priest is talking about be ready. Be ready. He's saying it each week of Advent. Be ready for Christmas. And I don't think he means buy a turkey and wrap the presents under the tree. I think because he's also saying come to reconciliation anytime you like. Any day, I'll try and be there. And if you put those two things together, what we're looking for is a generosity of spirit where you are aiming to be better. So your generosity emerges in your tolerance for others. Your generous spirit emerges in your acceptance of people and in your forgiveness of things that they've done to you or to your situation, so that if you're generous in that way, you are generous towards people by being tolerant and accepting and forgiving. And part of that is probably seeking forgiveness yourself, so that if you've been a cow all year, like I sometimes am, it's recognizing that, and going to reconciliation forces you to actually say it out loud, which is pretty tough. But it also means I've got to go back and tolerate the people that annoy me better, forgive the people who have done things to me that I certainly might perceive as being wrong, and to accept people for being different. And if you're not good at that, go do a Myers-Briggs test or something and find out that you're really different from somebody else, and maybe that's why you come to different conclusions, and that's why you have different ways of handling things. But it's accepting that and being generous about it that creates this greater harmony, that something that Christmas stands for is harmonious. If you read the Gospels, Matthew's Gospel talks about kings coming. You think, wow, kings came to see this baby. And Luke's gospel talks about shepherds coming. And as Father O'Day would be quick to point out, those shepherds were pretty much the stinky lowest of the low at the time. The gospel's message is that anybody is welcome to the birth of the Saviour. And our generous spirit should be that everybody's welcome in our lives. And it's what we do with that that's really important. If we're tolerant and if we're loving and if we're forgiving, those people we show a generous spirit towards others. So sure, give to charity and get charity to do the good deeds that they do so well. And do some quiet good deeds too. Be a secret Santa to someone this year. You don't even have to tell them at the end. But slip a chocolate onto their desk, or make their bed when they're not looking, or just say hello when you don't usually bother. That's generous. But then have a generous spirit this Christmas. Tolerate, forgive, accept, and with all of that will come love. And I guess that's what Father Sanelli means when he says be ready for Christmas. Just love people. So that's what it's all about, I guess. Generosity in one word, many meanings, all comes back to love. Merry Christmas.